Well, we have some awfully good news tonight. Just as Larry and I were finishing up the previous show, or actually during the time when we were doing that show, we had this ceasefire announcement. I could not help but do another show tonight on the ceasefire announcement. I know that means you're going to miss your dose of Brian White tonight, but that's okay. We'll have him on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, maybe Friday. We'll see. But he'll be on twice this week as the usual. But we need now to talk about what are the implications because nobody else is going to be talking about this. I promise you, you're only going to find these implications talked about here because, yeah, because I have a different, let's just say, a different perspective and different priorities with regard to what's happening right now with that ceasefire. So let's talk about, first of all, is the continuation of the Abraham Accords. Jared Kushner is the person who most in the world ever should have had a Nobel Peace Prize that didn't receive it. I don't know exactly how to say that right, but the Abraham Accords were amazing. Okay, and right now you've got the potential for several other people to join the Abraham Accords now that we have peace with Iran. Countries most likely to join the Abraham Accords in the near future would be Saudi Arabia, who was kind of on the verge of joining earlier. Oman is a possibility. According to Grok, Indonesia is a high likelihood. I didn't know that Indonesia was in the running. And then Syria, that makes a lot of sense. I can see Syria definitely being in that situation. Now, long term, they also said the Pakistanis might be a possibility to join in those accords. I asked Grok about Egypt and Jordan, but Grok felt that because Egypt and Jordan already have an existing treaty with Israel, that it would be unnecessary, redundant, but it's also possible that they would want to, just from the standpoint of the optics of being part of it. Now, as I've mentioned earlier this week, one of the other things that's happening right now with the Arab states or with the Middle East or whatever grouping you want to give it, is that this group of states has made the determination that they want to be a bigger economic zone than Europe, having a greater total Europe GDP than Europe does. And they also want to be number 3 in the world when it comes to AI behind the United States and China. I don't think there's any real possibility of them catching China. Certainly no chance of them catching the United States, but they do want to also beat Europe in that category as well. Now, because they have so much, their energy capabilities are so dramatic, and because they're obviously way more organized right now than Europe is, I give them a fairly good chance of accomplishing both of those things. Well, their chances just went up a lot, especially if they can somehow get Iran to normalize. That probably means regime change, but maybe they have to wait a while before Iran normalizes. But if they could get Iran, that's 90 million people in Iran, and the 90 million people that are there are some of the smartest people on the planet, even though somehow they're not smart enough to figure out how to get these mullahs and this theological leadership out of power. But anyway, we'll see what happens there. But this would be a big benefit to the Middle East if they can accomplish it. What this also means is that Hamas is now without sponsors or money. So Iran might continue to try to send them money, but they're broke. I can't imagine that the Trump administration is going to be ready, willing, and able to help Iran out of their financial difficulties unless they stop supporting Hamas. I would also think that would be true for Hezbollah and for the Houthis. So I think in general, the Hamas thing should be definitely winding down. It was already wound down, but this should be the final blow to that. Now, if we get Iran out of the way, we got Hamas out of the way, then all of a sudden, massive amounts of negative activities that are aimed at Israel, that are also aimed sometimes at the United States from around the world, but also even right here in the United States, on our streets of New York and Los Angeles, etc. If we can get the whole Palestinian thing to go away, this would be just one more great element of what this whole Trump administration is accomplishing. So let's see, we get Iran solved, we get maybe Abraham Accords, we get maybe Hamas solved, and we start to rebuild the Gaza Strip, and somehow maybe the rest of Israel is more settled and everything's fine over there. Now we could now we don't have to wait for all this to happen. Simultaneously, I think that Russia is looking for an off-ramp right now. He knows Trump well. He knows what Trump is capable of doing, and he's just had a major reminder. Zelensky, who doesn't know Trump as well, has also had this reminder. I think these two countries will be figuring it out, maybe in the very short term. So watch for that as well as a result of what just took place this weekend. Now, that would be pretty big. All those things would be very big. It's certainly, continuing to build up the status of the United States in the world, as well as Trump's status as the leader of the world, as the leader of the United States, and the most powerful country on earth. We also are likely to see, as a result of what happened this weekend, we're likely to see a dramatically reduced likelihood of China making any kind of a move on Taiwan. And this would be not necessarily because China, the Xi Jinping would necessarily be all worried and concerned about what Trump might do to China, but rather China is a country that is willing to wait. They're willing to wait for weakness, and they're not seeing weakness right now. So I don't think there's going to be any kind of move on Taiwan during Trump's administration. This will also give Trump much greater status within the Republican Party in order to push through his big, beautiful bill. I'm sure he will insist on it being done by the July 4th, and I think it will be done before July 4th, well before July 4th. Maybe this is going to give him immense power to arm twist and make sure this gets done. If for no other reason, that I think what you're going to find out right now is the Republicans already have, I think, is a 5-to-1 leadership in terms of funds in the bank right now. I think it's 75 million to 15 million, the Republican Party, that is, in terms of funds in the bank right now. Their fundraising right now is off the hook. My text box is lit up with Republican fundraising right now. I only expect it to get bigger, and this will give the Republicans a major, major ability to fundraise in anticipation of the midterms. And of course, a lot of Republicans are up, running for reelection in those midterms, and a lot of Democrats too. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for the Republicans to pick up seats in both houses and to maybe get rid of a few rhinos who are on the list right now. Trump has just given an angry post on Truth Social, something about how fast can we get this guy out of office, referring to one of the rhinos who has been giving him heartburn all weekend. Republicans will now be able to get a vast lead over the Democrats with regard to fundraising. And this is going to be, this should really, really, really be a help. What can we do? The next question becomes, what can we do about some of the AOC's, AOC, is that right? I think I'm doing that wrong. There's so many letter combinations now that I can't keep them all straight. Anyway, Alexandra Court, whatever her name is. We need to find a way to get rid of these crazy people in the Democratic Party that are just noisy. And, I guess some people are saying we need to keep her in as the leader of the Democrats because that would be so much fun coming up in the midterms as well as 4 years from now or 3 years from now. Anyway, let's see. Is there anything else I've left out here? Let me know in the comments below. I just wanted to throw up this quick analysis. I mentioned earlier with my video with Larry that the price of oil dropped dramatically, I think from $79 a barrel to $66 a barrel, actually under $66 a barrel in like minutes. So this is very, very good news in terms of inflation. And we're starting to see this shift with regard to members of the Federal Reserve who are starting to go, oh, maybe we should align ourselves with this president. Maybe he knows what he's doing, and maybe we should be helping him to get to his goals rather than fighting him. Let's see if there's more shifting between now and the July meeting. It would be fantastic if we get maybe a 50 basis point cut at the July meeting. Okay, I think that's the bulk of what I wanted to talk with you about in regards to this monumental few days, just a few days now, of work by the Trump administration. The president has done a masterful job. He's also got this incredible group of folks that are around him that are helping him get it done. It is just unreal. I think you saw, if you watched earlier when Larry was on, you could see how excited he was by what's going on right now in the country. And I just see that all around me with people who are watching and enjoying what we're seeing in the White House. Let me know in the comments. Are you excited? Just say, I'm excited. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about. All right, that's all I got for you right now. Again, I want to point to Larry. I'll put that card up. So watch what Larry and I talked about just a couple hours ago. I'll put that card up. But also, if you haven't looked at it yet, you still need to go back and look at that all-in podcast kind of report that I did, where I kind of spoke over some of what they said. You won't be sorry that you watched that video. I'll put that card up from last night if you want to go check that out. Okay, that's it. That's all I got right now. It's been great talking to you.